worked with the Labour Party. We helped to propel the reputation of Peter Gregory Obi, because at that time we looked at the three contenders for the presidency. When we compared the three candidates, we believed that Peter Obi was the favorite. The Labour Party right now has been infiltrated deliberately. If Julius Abure had come out after the 2023 election to say, congratulations to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, probably be one of the richest Nigerians today. He stayed with Peter Obi, followed him all through, down to the Supreme Court. Peter Obi is a good man. I supported him. I voted for Peter Obi. I campaigned vigorously for Peter Obi. The videos are everywhere. And I need you to remember this. As a presidential candidate, your campaign is based on your party manifesto. So everything Peter Obi said he was going to do was not Peter Obi's own thinking. He was reading out the manifesto of the Labour Party. If you cannot resolve the internal conflict of your party, what is the guarantee that you can handle a country as politically, religiously, traditionally, culturally diverse as Nigeria? Can a good thinking Nigerian explain to me why Peter Obi cannot have a cup of coffee with Abure and said, let's sit down and talk this thing over? The party was united when Peter Obi came in. And for those who think that we cannot take on Peter Obi, let me tell you, no one is above the law, no one is above criticism. Peter Obi has a tendency, unfortunately, very sad, a tendency of destroying any political party that gives him space. Peter Obi's career started with APGA. He promised Ojukwu, under no circumstance will I leave APGA. After ruling for 8 years under APGA, Peter Obi abandoned APGA. He fractionalized APGA to the point where APGA may never recover. He went to the PDP. Atiku Abubakar made him his vice presidential candidate. Again, he promised Atiku Abubakar, I will be loyal and dedicated to you as a vice president. From 2023, again, just like a virus, he began to fractionalize the PDP. Atiku pleaded with Peter Obi and said, Peter, if we make this thing a three-man race, Tinubu will win, because we will divide the votes between I, Atiku, and you, Peter Obi, and then Tinubu will run away with it. So please, swallow your pride. Peter Obi refused, left the PDP. We all worked together. And after the election, Peter Obi said, I won this election, and I will prove it in court. So if he believed he won the election, who was the chairman that won that election? Julius Abure. After the Supreme Court judgment, we're expecting someone who wants to be a president should be a unifier. But instead of doing that, he asked for just one favor, that Julius Abure should be sent away for a man who just joined in a few months. So I want us to check the dictionary definition of betrayal. For the past 6 months, we've been begging Peter Obi, please, don't destroy this Labour Party. Peter Obi said no.
All right, Barrister, I don't want to, we've already gotten the point there. Now, the truth is, I don't know, before you take on what you just had there, I think there are senses to what he said. The man made some points. There's no doubt about that. What actually aroused my interest on that video was when he talked about Peter Obi being a kind of a stigma or an anathema to any political party he joined. He ran on, rather. He ran on APGA. Truly, after leaving APGA, you know what the story of APGA is history. Although they are still existent, but it's not, APGA is not as they are not as powerful in the East as they used to be. PDP, to run under PDP. When he left the PDP, the same thing. We all know what happened between Wiki and whatever. PDP is almost a non force to reckon with today. And the Labour Party, the same thing. He left Labour Party. Okay, he has not left, but technically we know that Peter Obi is neither here nor there right now with Labour Party. We know, look at what is happening. And the point, another point he made is, if you cannot, because he that is faithful in little will be faithful in much. Because one of our great assets for Peter Obi, well, one of the platform, the yardstick that we've been using to actually categorize Peter Obi's performance or prospective successive or successful presidency is the Anambra State administration he ran in for 8 years in the past. So we believe because he did it well with Anambra State, he will, if he applies the same formula on the national level, at the national level, he will perform credibly well. Now, take the common party for instance. Just the man made that point. Truly, if he couldn't actually bring a family together, how can he actually bring Nigeria, as complex as Nigeria is, together? What do you think? He made several points there. Do you think the man have a point, or he probably, or you think he's an APC mole? He has become an APC mole. And he made a point too with Julius Abure. Truly, Julius, I remember that. Honestly, I had that fear then, that during that, when Bola Tinubu was basically buying everybody out and whatever. Honestly, I expected, because I never trusted Julius Abure. I expected him to probably take a bribe from the ruling party and probably congratulate about Bola Tinubu or whatever. He didn't do that. He actually was with Peter Obi all the way. So I don't know. The man made he made series of points. What's your take on that? Do you think that what the points the man made was just was out of place or in place?
Well, my take on what his long analysis is that you can always argue on both sides, depending on where you really stand. At any point when you support or you are against a particular candidate, you can always frame some credible arguments. But the question is whether those arguments will stand a scrutiny that they deserve. So let's go back to APGA, where he said Peter Obi promised Ojukwu that he will not leave or abandon APGA. Assuming that promise was made, Peter Obi had ruled Anambra State under the platform of APGA for 8 years. And it was time for him to transition to federal or national politics. Everybody in Nigeria knew that or perceived that APGA was an Igbo party. It had no national or even sub-regional basis. It was rooted firmly in the Igbo states of the Southeast, not even some Igbo states of the South-South were in support of APGA. So if politics is dynamic, if you want to transition to national politics, would you still remain in APGA with the perception that he had already put in the mind of the rest of the country that this was a local regional Igbo party? Where could you go with it politically if you wanted to go national? It was common sense that he should align with other people in a party that had a national base if he wanted to actualize his political ambition of contesting the national elections in Nigeria. So it followed that he had to leave ABGA and go to a party with a national base. That's how he went to PDP and became the vice presidential candidate of Atiku Abubakar. Now, how do you, from a political analysis, blame Peter Obi for that kind of action, knowing that politics is dynamic? Does he want him to remain in ABGA and seclude himself, put himself in a cocoon, like Buhari used to say that the Southeast is a dot in a cycle? That's what Buhari used to say, is the dot in a, does he want him to remain in that dot in that cycle? Because as far as any designing person knows, is that ABGA was going nowhere nationally. So it was good political sense to go to a national party with a national base to actualize his dream. Now, when that election failed as presidential candidate, vice to Atiku failed, you have to re-examine. In the next election, elections in Nigeria take place every 4 years. And between one election and the next, there's a whole lot of dynamics. You have to recalculate your chances, your potential chances, and everything within those 4 years in approach to the next election. You can't stand still in Nigerian politics. Atiku has left and come back, left and come back, left and come back. Even Buhari has transitioned from APP to AC to
AMPP. Okay, go ahead.
AMPP to AC, Action Congress, to APC. No, before that, they formed, I cannot get the other party that they formed, before aligning
CPC. CPC.
Yes. So you can see the trajectory. At any point in time, when you see that your party does not have the capacity to give you what you want, you seek to broaden your base. So you see Buhari also transition from one to another to another to another until the merger with APC. So it's not, and if you look at Tinubu himself from Action Group, this first party that they contested and he became governor on.
Action Congress, AC.
No. Alliance for Democracy.
Oh, AD, okay.
AD. He contested governor on the platform of Alliance for Democracy. It now became, Alliance for Democracy became a Southwest, had the same perception like ABGA had in the Southeast. It was now viewed as a Yoruba exclusive party for the Southwest. So he realized that that platform cannot give him the national prominence he wants. They transitioned to Action Congress and eventually joined with Buhari CPC to form the APC. So this thing is dynamic. Now coming to Labour Party, one thing he did not say, from 1999 to the elections of last 2023, who knew Labour Party? Labour Party was not a credible platform from the beginning of politics. Of course, in Ondo State, I remember Mimiko had to leave his party and contest. He was looking for a platform to contest and he became a governor, but he left. So they had no capacity. It is the coming into Labour Party of Obi and his mass support that catapulted Labour Party from obscurity to a popular party, that they are now talking as if they have capacity in Nigerian politics. They don't have. And today, if Obi should leave that Labour Party, it is going to be a shell. If Obi should come out today that he has left that party, it will go back to the shell it was. So it is Peter Obi that gave life to PDP, to Labour Party. Now, after the election, of course, Peter Obi claimed victory, and many of us believe he won. But the dynamics of actually getting that, actualizing that win, taking the presidency are different. They involve other issues involving court. You don't have control of the courts. Now, when a party has gone through an election, in that process, it has to re-examine itself. After the election, and before, we discussed on your show, the sponsoring of programs in the opposition parties, in PDP, in Labour Party, by the APC-led federal government. They did that. They tried to destabilize PDP. They tried to destabilize Labour Party. It was in that context that Abure had to go so that the party could be stabilized. But when you do not have power in Nigerian politics, when you do not control the police, who will now aid you to seize control, physical control of the national secretariat of the party, even when they compose a national, what do they call that, led by Nenadi Usman, the dynamics of taking the control of the national secretariat and the state secretariats of the party and the party machinery are quite different. You don't have the police. Then you now go to court. You now go to court to try to secure it. But again, we have discussed the problems of the judiciary in Nigeria on your show repeatedly. So it is disingenuous to blame Peter Obi and say he was not able to save or stabilize or unify Labour Party, when you know very well that it came to a point where there was active sponsorship of that crisis by people who were far more powerful, who controlled the machinery of government, who controlled the security, and who could reach the courts to make sure that what they wanted ended up. We discussed the judgment of the Supreme Court in respect of the leadership of Labour Party on your show. And I said that the Supreme Court did wrong. The Labour Party had a constitution. Why didn't they use the constitution to give judgment on who was the leader of Labour Party? Based on the constitution of Labour Party, they threw the ball back to Labour Party. Who is Labour Party? And at that point, Abure was the chairman. So they knew by throwing that thing back to the party, the crisis would be prolonged and protracted. And that is what we have till today. INEC has a role to play, which we believe is in the hands of the government. So when you throw it like that, INEC say, okay, we do not recognize your caretaker committee. We recognize Abure. So where do you go? So it is disingenuous to blame Peter Obi for moving from one party to another or failing to unite the party. Today, he is trying to have a coalition with other parties, although he has come out and said he has not left the Labour Party. But it is still in the form of the dynamics of politics. Will the Labour Party deliver the presidency which he wants and covers? Or will the alignment with and coalition with other forces help him get what he wants? That should be the sole question. Why do you cocoon yourself in a place of based on what you agree with somebody? In politics, just to be termed to be loyal and with integrity. When it does not take you, it will leave you in that cocoon. And this is not what you want. You want to help and secure and save the nation. No. So you can't remain in a cocoon.
Now,
I do not agree. In the end, I do not agree. He is one of those people. Of course, a lot of people believed wholeheartedly in Peter Obi and went all out of their way. But when he failed to grab that presidency, A lot of them are singing different. You see Kenneth Okonkwo talking. You see this man talking. You see other people talking. It's all the same dynamics. If they believed in him, the reasons they are giving for now turning against him do not seem to me to be credible enough.
Honestly, I agree with you. I think we talked about this on our last episode. That I remember pointing this out, that if you believe in someone, honestly, if you believe in a cause, it will be difficult for you to change that cause, to change your belief in that cause, even if the cause is not going in the right direction. So, if they are changing, if you are changing from one position to the other, because of one thing or the one expediency or the other, it obviously means that in the first place, your foundation was faulty. That's just it. What you believed in was just based on selfish and personal reasons, or not for objective purpose. All right. Let me ask you this last question on this subject. Do you think the OB? Do you think OB? That's anyway. I answered that question before I ask you that. Honestly, I think that the obedient movement is fractured. I think the obedient movement is not as strong as it was. The voice, the obedient movement voice has a kind of diminished to a significant level. Yes, he still have, there's no doubt about that massive support, but the truth is, I don't expect, I expect more of such voices to come up when we get close to the 2027 election against Peter Obi. And I don't know, what's your take on that? Do you agree with me that the obedient movement is fractured?
So I would not say it is fractured. I would rather say it is a bit dormant. And the reason is that they do not know whether they are here or they are there. Things are moving a bit fast because you see Labour Party is there, you see coalition is there. So the obedient movement is waiting patiently to see how things will unravel. If today you hear that the coalition has given Peter Obi the presidential ticket, you see the obedient movement come alive, even more than what it used to be. But for now, rather than
do you think you just made a statement, a comment now. Do you think that obedient movement will actually come back as active or as sounding as they were in 2023 and even more?
I believe one thing that will make the obedient movement to come back stronger than before is if the coalition should give him the presidential ticket. If it does, the obedient movement will come back much more stronger. But if the coalition does not give him the ticket and he comes back to Labour Party, there will be disillusionment. The movement is not going to be as strong as it used to be. But if he gets the ticket in the coalition, believe in the HDC, believe me, the obedient movement will be much, much stronger than what it used to be. There will be a lot of hope that, yes, with the Labour Party then, they were not able to penetrate the North as much. But today in the coalition, a lot of Northern elements are there. So if by adventure he becomes the candidate, believe me, there will be a lot of hope in the obedience, and they will emerge stronger. They will be inspired to be stronger than what they used to be.